All right, everyone. Welcome to our video session for this week. Today we're asking for feedback from our community members in celebration of our 1-year anniversary, which is a huge deal, and thank you for sticking by us for 1 year, and can't wait to hear what you guys all have to say about how we can do more in the coming year. The point of video sessions is ultimately to bring people together around the world and in order to brainstorm and learn from each other about our own experiences on how we can make a positive difference in the world. Impaction is aiming to do just that, just making it more accessible for people to make a positive social impact. And that is also happening through our current clothing donation drive. We have 865 clothes already donated, which is great. So thank you, community members, for your support and making an impact around the world. So we're ultimately, to get this started, we have a couple of people on this call right now. So let's just introduce ourselves, and we can have longer introductions than just 2 sentences. So people can know a little bit more about us. I'm not Impaction. I'm Shivani. I'm one of the co-founders of Impaction. I'm based in Chicago, Illinois. I have 2 full-time jobs. The first is a budget and grants analyst at Chicago Public Schools. And the second is my role at Impaction. And I would say I'm interested in the social impact space of education inequality. Sukanya, do you want to go next?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Sukanya. I'm from India. I came to the US to pursue my master's in human resource management and labor relations from NYIT. I'm currently based in Texas, where I work as a HR generalist for a small firm that provides IT services. And my passion for social impact started back since I was young, and when I was interning at Ashoka, where I met Shivani, I really wanted to give back to the society. I realized the key goal to create an impact is awareness, which is lacking around the world. That's how Impaction was born, and it's been a year since we started this journey with a lot of ups and downs, and we have learned a lot. We hope to keep growing continuously with quality and sustainability in mind, and hope to see us change the world with more of positivity.
Awesome.
Maribel, you want to go next?
Sure. So I am Maribel Rodriguez. I am from Brooklyn and based in DC currently. One of the things I do is I teach social entrepreneurship. Now I'm co-teaching through a program called Learn Serve International. And I got my master's in social enterprise. And when I have time, I work on my Love for Immigrants project, which is a photography-based project displaying immigrants in a positive light, showing the value they bring here in the U.S., specifically D.C. and New York.
Awesome. Thank you, Maribel. Okay, Mihai, do you want to go next?
Was Maribel finished, though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Mihai. I met Shivani through Shaper, and her and I shared some similar views. I did my master's in computer science and studied math, so I'm very involved in the developer and math space, or have been in the past. I've also been really involved and very passionate about making a social impact. That's really what I try to do day in and day out. I've created Fakey, which is a social media and fake news platform. It's really more of a media literacy tool, and so if you look that up, that's kind of what I'm known for.
How do you spell it?
It's like fake, but there's a Y at the end, so okay. Fakey. But honestly, I don't really want to be known too much about Fakey because I would like to have more of an impact than just Fakey, and so currently I'm freelancing to make a living, and I'm also looking at creating Wellsome, which is a really kind of like a scheduling, no, not a scheduling, a personal assistant that tracks and plans your actions for self-improvement or improving the planet. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing on now and plan to launch in about a month. So let's see what happens.
Awesome. That is great. Cool.
Thanks.
So we've got entrepreneurs and teachers of entrepreneurs as well as an entrepreneur on this call. So that's really good. So I'm just going to go right into our video session, have a very brief presentation about our impact report, and then we can start talking about the feedback. Let me share my screen. So this is our annual report. Basically, our motto is to start small but start somewhere. And yeah, in this report, we're going to cover our vision, mission, values, products, and then ultimately the impact and what we've learned in this space. Our mission is that we believe in creating an accessible space where people take ownership in solving social issues in their local communities. So ultimately, the best way, the most sustainable way that we found through research and data collection is that right now, social entrepreneurship is on the uptick, and social impact is on the uptick, where people are signing on more and more to the social impact space. Corporations are being held more socially responsible as well. And ultimately, our goal is to show that, it's not only up to the policymakers, it's not only up to the business and the corporations to make an impact, but we can do it in our local communities. And the point is to decentralize the power and ultimately understand that we hear a bunch of passivity in the system, and we have to understand that we have more power than we think. So our mission is to first have people be aware of this problem, right? That there's too much passivity. Social entrepreneurship isn't accessible to all. So we're trying to show that, we can make an impact through quote-unquote smaller actions like communications and dialogues, and ultimately shifting mindsets towards building a space for the unnoticed to come out into the light. Through this, we'll build communities and then inspire change in our local communities. These are some of our values: obviously collaboration, innovation, inclusivity, respect, and social impact are going to be very of the utmost importance. We're trying to work through our mission by these 3 products where people can collaborate, hear positive news instead of negative news, because positive news, as we see, actually sparks action. Having that mindset shift is incredibly important to think about when you are trying to make a positive change, because instead of thinking about all the poverty and the war that we see, where we feel kind of helpless, if you see someone else being inspiring in their local communities and working towards social change, it inspires you to do more. So you can do that through positive news. Idea Forum is where people can post an idea and solve challenges online, which makes it more accessible for people to make an impact. And then video sessions, all you need is a computer to join conversations every other week. We're doing this through what we call our social innovation journey, where there are ultimately smaller ways, quote unquote, you can make a difference. There are actually 5 ways we found that you can make a difference. The very last is by creating an initiative, which is like creating a social enterprise. But you can actually make a difference by sharing a positive news article or discussing and connecting with people on the space. And you can also make a positive impact by supporting other social enterprises, whether that's by donations, whether it's by volunteering, or whether that's by being a part of the staff. The point that we're trying to make is that in the social impact space, being a social entrepreneur isn't the only solution. There are also, we found through research that there are upwards of 40,000 veteran-serving organizations in the U.S. alone, but last time I checked, there aren't 40,000 different challenges that veterans have. So ultimately we don't want to oversaturate the market. We don't ultimately want to keep creating enterprises because then the amount of resources we have are fragmented. And that can, instead of solving challenges, one of our innovators put it best, where the point of a social enterprise is to be out of business, where the challenge that you're aiming to solve has been solved and you can move on to something else. So that's kind of the point that we're trying to make. This isn't really that important, but these are through our timeline of events. You can check them out in your own time. Some partnerships that we've had over time. Our impact is mostly geared towards the amount of articles and ideas that we have in our network, some of the funding opportunities that we've given to our entrepreneurs, the amount of engagement that we have on our Facebook and social media groups. But these two slides are critical for this video session. Our social innovation journey. So do people understand the social innovation journey? This is ultimately our KPI, how we're measuring if what we're doing is successful. So the second is ultimately understanding that the way that people engage with our communities, does that increasingly harness their power to create social change? And the last is, after joining Impaction, are people more inspired to tackle social challenges with their local resources? If we disperse the amount of power and resources that we have and give them back to our local communities or a community of our interest, then the power lies with us. So what we've learned over the last, since our MVP launch to where we are now, in 2017 when we launched, we learned that there's no one-stop shop platform or resource where people can make a difference can come together. Current platforms are profit-based, we are impact-based. The second year we learned that spreading positivities and ideas can actually build hope and inspiration and bring people out of passivity into activity. And to do this, we have to invest in our future, which is our youth. And then the third is that the current social impact space doesn't make it easy to make a difference. Too much of the space is focused on creating new ideas or new products to make a difference, but we're trying to make this more accessible. So in the coming year, we want to leverage partnerships with schools. We'll obviously work on redesigning our website, offer more funding opportunities and more direct services to entrepreneurs and innovators who need support. This is the team, and then, our motto, we rise by lifting others. So that's just a little bit about our impact report. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can stop talking and I can hear from you guys. So I'm just going to start with the first piece of feedback. Can you guys give us a little bit of feedback on, do you have any thoughts about the presentation right now, or we can just go directly into feedback on what we're doing well, and then,
So I had a question in the vein of impact that you mentioned, right? So I don't really remember if you told me that if Impaction ended up, if you want it to be a nonprofit or a for-profit. I think you said nonprofit. However, then you said something along the lines of, you need to somehow make an income through that, or have the business funded. And then you said that you somehow want to track that through, not through funding, but through really impact. So I'm curious how you're looking to do that. I saw the metrics you had, right? Those diagram, I guess those little images with the percentage signs and things like that, with how many people you've impacted. But what type of metrics are you looking towards besides just that, or what is your idea for impact, basically?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are actually a for-profit enterprise, and the only reason for that is because I find a lot of the times nonprofits are unstable in having funding for their organizations. So to be self-sufficient is the only reason why we're a for-profit company. I don't want to rely on donations or anything like that because that to me is not sustainable. And
Right.
So in terms of metrics, we've been using metrics around engagement on our platform right now because we aim to get, by 2021, we aim to get 10K people on our website, and then those 10K people, the way they engage with our resources, like the social innovation competition, like how many people got funded through there, in terms of how they're using Idea Forum to solve their own challenges, and then innovation news articles, how many people are sharing those on their own platforms. One thing that we want to roll out is that when you sign up for the Impaction website, you have like a profile that you create. We're aiming to have that profile be like a resume that you can use, like a social impact resume that highlights your ideas, highlights your interest in the social impact space. So that would be another metric, like how many people are creating their own social impact resumes and putting them on their LinkedIn profile. So right now the metrics are around engagement, but obviously when we roll out more revenue generating products in the future, like job portal and whatnot, that will be, like, those will have different metrics. Yeah, so if no one else has any questions or feedback, I'm gonna ask the next question. That is, what do you guys think we're doing well in this space?
Can I say something? But I can't get my video. Oh, there we go. I think the focus on collaboration is something that Impaction is doing really well. When I met up with one of the leaders from what was it, the United Peace, that organization that was about to be closed down by the Trump administration. Anyway, she mentioned wanting to know more about how social enterprise aligns with collaborative efforts and seeing a lack of that. It was really hard for me to answer that question because I hadn't really seen many collaborative efforts, especially long-term sustaining collaborative efforts. Many times it could be like small collaborations or short-term collaborations. So I think that's where Impaction is unique, and hopefully more and more collaborations, long-term ones, will spur in the social entrepreneurship space. And I think the focus on quality and not just reach is also a very important distinction. I think many people get pressured or very overwhelmed with impact measurement and sacrifice quality or effectiveness or even like long-term results for reach, or get confused, think that reach is the only way and scale is the only way to make an impact. So those three things I think that Impaction does well.
That's really good feedback. And granted, we do want to increase our network and all of that, but we're doing that relatively slowly because it's important for us to have relationships with our community members. Like, I don't want it to just be faceless people. And granted, in the social innovation competition, that's kind of how it was because our network increased double the size, so you can't have face-to-face with everyone. But like, relationships is super important in this space, definitely. Thank you. Okay. Mihai, do you have any feedback on what we're doing well?
Well, maybe I'm not too familiar since I just joined, but like reading your impact and progress sheet, I'm seeing that you've diversified a lot and are doing things on a lot of different, areas. And so, being able to publish newsletters and having video sessions and doing innovation competitions. A lot of these things, just because the social enterprise space is so small, and there is an opportunity. There are people that need this type of, they resonate with this type of initiative. I think it's good to be able to fire in different platforms and to do things in different ways. So that's a great thing. One thing that I haven't really seen, and maybe this is because I haven't really talked to you much about it, is that I really haven't seen too many in-person type sessions, right? So, and maybe you are doing that, but like I'm thinking of something like, for example, let's say a meetup, right? Let's say maybe a meetup that has a Slack behind it that meets and has, I'm not sure if you've heard, but like things like Code for America, where they have these brigades, and so they have brigades in different cities. Like they would have one in DC, they have one in Chicago, in Texas, etc. And so you could do that with Impaction and have people actually meet face to face, and that's where more collaboration happens. Maybe you could have sessions to teach people, and maybe you could even make money that way. So I don't know if you are doing that, but that's an idea that you could pursue.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And Galyani, who isn't on the call right now, she just joined our team, and she also expressed the same idea about having meetups and like effectively like video sessions is great in that we're face to face, but the best collaboration happens when you're in person. So that's something that we want to roll out. We just need to strategize about what that would look like. And we're potentially thinking about like going and hosting like competitions with students in their classrooms, and then those students we would have facilitate, like those students can facilitate those meetups in their own schools. So that's like public space, free of cost, and students benefit. So it's a triple whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love about this is that, I mean, from what I've seen in these meetup spaces, that the meetup spaces are very niche, right? So you're either going a meetup for like law, you're going for a meetup to code, you're going for a meetup to do presentations. But maybe I could see Impaction doing like a meetup that has like everybody with many different trades and different skill sets come together, and they come together for a specific cause. They don't necessarily need to know the code, but it'd be nice to have a good mix of people. In my opinion, that's how change happens, not just like one person that can do one thing, right? So,
or even align with other meetup groups that are in a similar vein. Like there's Humanity Hub in DC that their whole purpose is to create community, and I met a social entrepreneur there, and it would be an interesting thing to see it in person and align with something that's already existing, that makes sense for it. So if they use design thinking, so if it's either process related or similar impact related, then it could be a neat collaboration. Oh, I can't hear Shivani.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Oh.
I was saying that's interesting. Would you guys think that we would lead trainings or discussions, or like what would you like to see as like people in the space? Like what would you find that's valuable in meetups like this?
Maybe kind of what you do now in online, which is also another plus, another like strength area, which is you bring in social entrepreneurs that are currently practicing, and we have conversations around certain topics that relate to what they do. So if that is transferred in person, I think that would be a more powerful impact. You can talk to them after they present, or after they lead a short workshop, or if it's a whole group discussion. Either way, like it would be really, I think, engaging for people to get to meet some of these people.
Yeah, that would be cool. And then you might be able to create like a curriculum for other people to do the same in their own city and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe another thing you can do is kind of like this, start in a broad spectrum of discussing impact and what Impaction is about and training and things like that. Um, and then have people break off, right? Maybe somebody cares a lot more about climate change, somebody cares a lot more about social justice, right? And so maybe at some point you could have like groups break off, and then there could be some cross pollination and like maybe people meeting other people and then like helping each other, and also like networking and finding other people that care about the same causes. I can see that happening. It's just, I think timing is important as well. Like, how much time are you going to allot to kind of the broad side of things and also the specific side of things? So something to think about.
Or even like in New York, there's already an organization that's social impact related. They're called Be Social Change. Even just having some kind of partnership with them, it could be like teaching one of the courses or being a guest in one of their courses, or facilitating something. I don't know. I see a lot of like alignment with organizations that are already doing community building in their own areas. But if you want your own Impaction meetup group, that would also, I think, work well. And like Mahai said, having the space for people to collaborate, that could be for people that have similar interests and haven't figured out what to do yet. And then there could be like a second version, which is maybe a little bit more advanced, like part 2, which could be goal setting for people that already have an idea that's well established or already started implementing, but haven't dedicated the time to do the goal setting. So I went to a goal setting workshop like 2 years ago, and that was really helpful. The only thing is not consistent. So I feel like social entrepreneurs might not always get to the action part early enough, or they get to the action part and then there's a barrier. So I think part of that is like having a space and time and community to be like inspired by or pushed forward in a very practical way. I think goal setting workshops are very practical, and you have that, and then you can have like a second part of that, which is like seeing where you are based on the goals you had, maybe like early in January, and then there's a third part, and then seeing like the progress together. So even if you're not collaborating on the same exact thing, people that already have something going, but they're small, can continue to see progress together.
That would be really cool. Yeah, Sukanya, do you have anything to add?
No, actually, even I had this idea of in-person collaboration, like Mirabel and Mihai said. I think that's a great idea that we should think of implementing going forward.
Yeah, I think so the goal setting workshop is one thing to consider, especially because that means like similar people would have to come routinely to a majority of the meetings in order we can have even like a completion rate where they completed the goal setting training and then have a certificate towards the end that's actually sponsored or something like that. So at least like that, especially for early stage ventures, that can come as like a source of credibility for them in the space. And then we can have like a curriculum lined up of, okay, who are the types of people that they will be meeting and learning from, who are the coaches that can be present during the meeting and give advice and stuff like that. So it can be like a support system and also a learning component that we do on video sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would be really cool.
The other thing I think you do well, is you started doing contests and sort of incentivizing action, but also the clothes drive, and that I hadn't seen as much last year because, well, we were starting off, but also maybe something has shifted to looking at action, having the time where we had like one start social enterprise in 1 hour. Although we didn't quite follow it through, the entirety. We did attempt, I think, or maybe we did follow through with the whole thing. It was really neat to just get to the action part. And I'm a big, proponent of like talking through and thinking through things. But it was sort of very nice to see action and to see people who won the competition and continued their work. So it was just really nice to see the action part this year.
Yeah, that's really good feedback. If you guys have other ideas of community-led projects, like it didn't even require like that much of a heavy lift from us. All we had to do was promote it and then survey. And people are donating. Like, it's relatively simple. So if you guys have ideas about other ways other topics that you guys are interested in for community projects, let me know.
Yeah, there's something I was looking at yesterday. I mean, who knows where the sources are coming from, but looking at top 3 ideas for entrepreneurs that are profitable, and one of them is sharing a skill, and so mastering the skill and sharing the skill, which I think Impaction already does, and it would be just getting more of the specific skills out there, and as you add value through like social media and through YouTube or through a skill shared organization or business, then the profit would bring in to continue the impact work. And it's still business focused in the sense that you have existing platforms like YouTube that maybe advertising will pay for once you reach a certain number of viewers or something. Maybe not the first go-to, because it is very much on the impact side. However, I feel like as you consistently put videos up there, as you figure out what are people finding valuable, what kinds of skills are they finding most useful, I think there are a lot of barriers to having a successful social venture. And the more you have like shorter tips, like 5 minutes, if it's like 30 minutes, it'll be like a longer class type thing, the more people are going to view it because they'll see it very practical. And the more you also reach others, and maybe it aligns with the profitable part of the social impact you're trying to create.
That's a good point. And we have a lot of that content on our video sessions. So right now we create like 5-minute clips of previews of video sessions, but instead of clipping the 5-minute, we can even just clip like a part of the video session about advice, that like really practical advice that like someone on the call has given.
Exactly.
Like we can use that as a preview for the video session. That's a really good point.
Or even if different people in the Impaction community or from leadership, if you have certain specific knowledge that you want to do like a quick 2-minute thing even, then I think that would be appealing to people. Like people's attention span is really, really short. So to look at this for 40 minutes is kind of like, I don't know if I could wait that long. Or to have like just a clip from the beginning, like you said, it would be better to get the advice piece as opposed to just like the beginning teaser. So that way they get what they need, and then they're going to come back again to get another piece of advice. Like it could be anything from like marketing related to social entrepreneurship, or how to have a for-profit social enterprise, or a non-profit, how to pick a business model for your social enterprise, how to tell a story that shows impact, how to do measuring and evaluation, how to scale up if you're in scale up. There's so many different things that we can teach, and I don't think we're there yet, and we have that opportunity for the next year to start.
That's a great idea. So like in terms of execution, so having a survey where people can share their skills or their advice, like what they would be interested in giving advice about, and then reaching out to them personally and asking them, hey, are you willing to shoot like a 2-minute video about your advice that you posted on this survey? Then we circulate that on our YouTube channel, bring in views, and then link it to maybe like their work, so at least they get something out of it as well.
Their work, or if those get hits and there's some profit, they get a percentage, or they're just, depending on how people feel, or they're just be like, oh, I don't have to pay to be a member of this community like other associations you might have to pay. So either way, like either you feel grateful that you can be part of this for free, or you get like a very small token for spending the time doing this.
That's a great idea. Shit. Teacher all the way. This is excellent. In terms of topics like the international community donate, like clothing drive, what are other topics that you guys might be interested in that can be executed on an international scale? So it's like a low effort way that people can make an impact but can still unite them around the world.
Wow, there's so many. I think if you just look at dosomething.org,
Yeah.
there'll be so many ideas there that people are already starting to do.
It was like water waste reduction was one, littering was another. It was good. I like do something.
Yeah, I think the climate is huge. People are very amped up. We have all around the world these, climate change protests. So I feel like climate-based things are really important, and aligning with what people already want to do. Implementing a zero waste life is really hard, or even just learning how to recycle. How many people really know how to do it well? I mean, even I'm constantly like, oh, does this go here or here?
Yeah, same.
What was the name of the website you mentioned, Maribel?
DoSomething.org.
DoSomething.org?
Yeah, they're usually a college scholarship platform, and they have lots of different just quick and easy ways to make an impact in a small way. But if everyone does it, it's a huge impact. So they have everything from like social issues to environmental issues.
Thanks for pointing that out. I didn't know.
So we can even align ourselves with their current like thing. Like whatever they're doing, we could do something similar. It could be a different idea, but it could be a similar topic. I don't know, just a thought on how to even further collaborate with something that's already out there.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really cool.
Composting is awesome, but that's gonna be like there's probably gonna be a lot of issues with that one. But
a lot of yeah, my mom tried to compost and she's like, it's just so disgusting. I got so many fleas and bugs and all these things crawling into like our spaces, and I'm like, you're probably not doing it right, honestly.
Yeah, it's very tricky. You have to be very careful. So it could be even like around the climate part, but around like day-to-day actions, because people may not have like access to, influencing large numbers, but they can influence their day-to-day like food waste, their day-to-day recycling, their day-to-day learning how to compost correctly, their how intentionally do you shop? Where do you shop from? What technology, apps, or resources are out there to help me be a more conscious shopper? That's really hard. And it's so, if we all do this to the best of our ability and learn from each other, we could make an impact in the market. So for companies to actually make changes, because they'll see that demand is changing. So there could be like a whole bunch of areas that a person's journey, just surviving and living, will touch on whether they can make a positive or negative impact. And those could be like the small starting points for, these 2 months we're going to focus on food waste. And then we post a challenge, and then we have people fill out a survey and see how well they did.
Yeah.
And we put tips constantly, like maybe every 2 weeks, tips for how to successfully go through this challenge.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good idea. That's really cool.
Or even like, a lot of takeout and buying out, like incentivizing people to like pack at home or purchase from companies that have compostable plates or something where they're making an impact in their day to day. 5-minute showers instead of 30-minute baths.
Yeah, I know. Do something. Just I was looking at their website and they have like stuff around pantry prep, and then there's something like storm drain street art. So literally just making chalk art on storm drains to protect local waterways. That's pretty cool. Like really creative stuff around here. But yeah, it's a good
Cool.
point.
Yeah, it could even be like how many times can you buy from a social enterprise or a nonprofit or something that has a social impact attached to it this month? And then they do a survey and see how well they did in terms of trying to have their dollar create an impact.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So it's like at the end of the month, we say like we had like $20,000 go to these social enterprises from our community, and that would be pretty cool. Stuff that unite people around the world is a great idea.
Yeah, or even like if someone has thought about starting something and money is a factor and they're like, oh, I don't know how to start and I have like this decent job, but saving is hard. Like it could even be like a challenge about how to save and how much to save. And then you create that challenge of this month you're going to budget. It's like a budgeting challenge. And by the end of the month, if you save $200 to start with $200, then you can at least start somewhere as opposed to nowhere. I mean, we had a student who started her social venture with $200. And yeah, and she's still trying to scale it up, but at least her pilot could get started for $200. That's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And she did a whole pilot and she paid people. Like the app is actually her paying people, not even the other way around. So
what?
Yeah, I mean, it was small, but it was about diabetes. And the more they managed their diabetes, the better they managed it. They would get a certain, like either $1 or $3, depending on how well. And with that program, she started with $200. So a lot of us think we need, 50,000 or 25,000 or even 10,000 or at least 5,000, but it could just get started with $200.
Damn.
Or 400.
In the competition, we gave out 1,000 to 5 people, and we didn't publish this yet. Like, we didn't publish this then, but we initially thought that was like a small amount of money. But the more social entrepreneurs I talked to, the more I said that $1,000 can help them do so much. So, like, even with a small amount of money, you can do a lot.
Yeah. Depends on, of course, of what kind of market you're in. Like certain businesses, you need a lot of investment initially.
Yeah.
And so it really would depend on that. But for a lot of them, especially if it's idea related, you don't need a lot to start.
No, not at all. Oh, that's a good idea. Cool. So we have 3 minutes left, but one thing to ask you guys, like a couple of things. Maribel, you had good ideas. Mihai, you did too. What is something that you guys would like to see us do in the next year? And I know, Maribel, you said more action-oriented stuff. That's a good one. What are some other things?
Maybe you can have these types of lesson plans and webinars and ways to teach other people on the calls about specific areas on how to do socially impactful things. Whether it is, maybe you can have a survey, right? So, if certain people are joining the call, or maybe just broadcast it to the audience itself and say, hey, we would like to do this lesson, and what are you all interested in? And then, you can tally up the numbers and provide a call that offers that service as a lesson, really, to the community.
That's a good.
On that note, I think video-related things like maybe doing like a short interview of social entrepreneurs that come from a certain universities that have social enterprise programs. Like maybe the schools can pay you for the videos, and you can have a contract or an agreement where you can post the lessons on your site or as a package to sell, like for a small amount to your members or to the community at large, or even to just share for free. But it could be like a way to generate income and align with what universities need if they're not already doing that on their own. And because you're a social impact organization, you know what kind of questions to ask, and you know what kind of failures or successes they might already have, so you can even like know how to ask open-ended questions and then more like smaller leading questions when you're trying to guide a deeper conversation. There could be that alignment with the lessons and the curriculum.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Oh, and for contest related things, I think if there could be one for services and not just products, that would be really helpful. I feel like a percentage of like 90 or 95% of the social enterprises that students start where I teach are service related. They're not product related, and I'm not sure how many people do products versus service, but I think that's an opportunity to reach other people that are interested in social impact.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Unfortunately, the partner that we work with for the contest, their entire premise is about products that do social good. So we're like constricted for the contest in that way. I agree, because we even sent out a survey asking what people would like to see in the next contest, and it was more service related stuff. Or apps could also, apps that help with social good, that should be a part of the contest. But like the guy didn't give us much limitations with the contest scope, but one of the big limitations was the product, because it aligns with their mission, right? But
I wonder if we can. I mean, I don't have a lot right now. I'm still in transition and figuring it out. But if we all, like, if everyone in the community chips in a small amount, like a very small amount, and see how much that is altogether. I don't know how many members we have, but if everyone does that, maybe we can create our own contest, and someone in the community or outside of the community could win the whole thing. It's kind of like saving together in a way, but for continuing. Yeah. Or find a new partner that can, whip out $1,000. But either way, yeah.
That's a great idea, and that can be a community-led project again.
Yeah, we could crowdfund. We could have a crowdfunding page or something. Like, help us crowdfund for our project, or Kickstarter page. Help us crowdfund. Help us fundraise for for supporting and funding a social enterprise, and our goal is $1,000, or something like that.
That's a great idea. Yep. Huh. I love that. Suki, take notes. These are great.
Yeah, and there are more. I think we'll email you with other ideas as they come.
You always do. Okay, I'm going to respect everyone's time. But yeah, thank you both for coming on this call. This has been really great, and seeing you guys. And Maribel, I know you've worked with us from the very beginning at the launch, so we're like 1 year in. So thank you for like joining today. That's a huge deal.
Today.
Mihai, it was awesome meeting you in Chicago, and we keep seeing each other, and we'll keep supporting your journey, and I know you're launching something as well. So that's going to be really awesome, and let me know, or let anyone in the community know if you need any, if you need any help or anything. We're here.